throws. He lays out and makes the catch.
What is going on, everybody? We are back for another episode of the Double Switch Podcast. Pretty fun episode. We are going to talk about the hitters, and these are the guys that everybody knows. We're going to go right down the lineup, right down the field, and talk about all the big guns we got this year. Johnny, dude, it's 7:30 here in New Jersey, and I think it's still kind of light out. It was 60, 65 degrees today, and I can smell it. I can smell baseball in the air.
Yeah, dude, 7:30. It's getting darker later. It's baseball season, and I just got back from Clearwater, so I'm fully in Phillies mode. Like it's nonstop until November now.
Yeah, the start of the season, it's such a cool combination because like you have the weather, you have like the city and the fans coming out, you have like fantasy baseball ramping up. Well, at least for me, I guess fantasy baseball is not a universal thing, but this is just this is just such an exciting time for anybody who even like remotely cares about baseball. It means better days are on the horizon, but I won't waste too much time because we have a really long and thorough episode lineup. You know, there's a lot to talk about with these guys. Fortunately, there's really not much debate for the lineup and who's going to be in it. But before I get into that, do have some news we want to hit. I mean, where do you want to start? Because there's been some serious news these past couple weeks.
Well, I guess because we haven't recorded in a while, we should hit on Andrew Painter.
You worried?
He's the big dog. You know, I'm not yet. I think they're just being ultra cautious with him because, I mean, he's a kid. He's young as heck. Why risk it? I think they know he's better used in the end of the season than the beginning of the season, as far as his value goes. So I'm not concerned yet. Are you?
So I don't want to be concerned, but I just feel like there's just no success stories when you hear about pitchers and their UCL being hurt. I just feel like it never works out. Besides Zach Gallen, he's the one exception.
But Nola,
I don't think Nola tore his UCL.
It was a strain. The same thing.
I think he has a tear. I think Painter has a tear. I don't know if that's different or worse, but it's not the most promising sign out of a 19-year-old who throws 100. I'm not in full-on panic mode yet because I think that there's enough precaution and safeguards here between him being the most valuable asset in the entire organization, Scott Boras being his agent, knowing that, you know, if this kid stays healthy, he's going to get $250 million. And, you know, he knows that there's a lot riding on his future, and there's just so much caution here. So I think we'll be all right eventually. And, you know, this doesn't really change my stance on Andrew Painter's future at all. It might just take a little longer to get where I expect him to be.
All right. So remain calm, everyone. It's not doomsday.
Ranger, forearm strain, anything to worry about there?
I kind of feel bad. I saw someone tweeted today too. Why can't Rangers have like a normal beginning to the season? He had that whole like visa issue last year, but we saw Ranger gets really good towards the end of the season. So maybe give him some time off and use him as an asset towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it's weird that we came in with these positional battles and they kind of worked itself out. I think right now Bailey Falters are 4 starter to start the season, which is kind of weird when he was battling and he was kind of the 6th man to start. I think Plasmeyer is probably going to get the 5 spot.
Matt
Strom's being stretched out.
They're saying maybe the opener for the 5 spot, piggybacking with like Nelson.
Yeah, I see Matt Strom more as that guy who starts the second game of doubleheaders and, you know, once in a while when we just need an arm. Nick Nelson's actually hurt, and he was in the running. And then Christopher Sanchez, who's still depth at this point. But, yeah, I mean, there's pieces there. So I'm not terribly concerned about any of it because Dombrowski constructed a pretty deep rotation.
Yeah, I could also see him going out and getting another arm just to be a little bit deeper at the big league level.
Yep. All of that does not waver the hype that I'm feeling at all. So
No, not at all.
Awesome lineup. Let's get right into it. Let me open up my slides. It kind of blends in with our background here. Phillies lineup 2023 by Josh.
Well done.
Catcher. Sounds like you're reading a book over there with your notebook. JT Realmuto. He is 31 now. He is past, the 30 age kind of barrier that separates kind of catchers' peaks and their declines, but he's aging quite well. Last year, probably the MVP of the team. I think that's fair to say because, Bryce wasn't there for a lot of the time. He started off absolutely terribly. I fell into the crowd that was, screaming for more Garrett Stubbs playing time.
A lot of us did.
He made all of us kind of eat our words there. He put up effectively, the best season of his career. These baseball savant stats off to the right are all bright red. He's hitting the ball really hard. He's got good stats to show for it. The approach is fine. Gets on base pretty well. Still runs. You can probably expect an uptick in stolen bases, which is still crazy. I still can't wrap my head around that since he's a catcher. That sprint speed in the 96 or 86. That's just insane. Time, 100th percentile pop time. He's the best in baseball at controlling the run game, which is going to be huge this year again, especially with the new pickoff rules and the bigger bases. So he's going to be even more important. And there's really nothing you can say about the guy. He's the best catcher in baseball for now. There's a lot of, young talent there. He won't be the best catcher in baseball forever, but right now he is, and, he's our guy.
Absolutely right. He's our guy, and he is as great as they come, and he's smack dab in the middle of his prime. If you look at his numbers, I see him being in his prime probably for two more years. Definitely this year. I think another big year for JT. The dude's Superman. There's nothing he can't do.
No, yeah, you kind of hit it on the head. I used to kind of feel like he didn't really care about what he didn't show a ton of fire and personality when he was out there. But when I saw him in the playoffs, I realized that kind of translates to a super calm, collective player in big hype situations. And I hadn't seen him in that kind of a spot. But just watching him in the World Baseball Classic and in the playoffs last year, this guy he's a calming figure for this clubhouse, for this lineup, for the pitching staff, and he's probably the quiet role model type leader for this team, and there's value in that as well. And he's worth every penny we gave him so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I got two over-unders for you that are closely correlated to JT's game. Can JT play 130 games this season?
Yes, he can, and that's going to be because earlier in the season, our DH spot is not going to be clogged up by Bryce Harper, so he's going to get more games early on at the DH spot, and later on, he's probably going to catch a little more than he did earlier in the season. So over. Would you agree?
I would. Can JT steal 15 bags?
100%. I think he might steal 25.
All right, we're high on JT this year, folks.
I mean, this expected on base percentage, expected BA, these are like Freddie Freeman type numbers, type expected stats. And he's a catcher whose primary skill, his most important skill has always been his defense. It's crazy, but he's kind of a defensive first player still. And he brings so much with the bat, and it's such an advantage against teams that don't have that, which is just about everybody else minus 3 teams. So
lucky
JT Realmuto. Yep. First base, Rhys Hoskins contract year. He's the model of consistency, and it's kind of frustrating to say that because he doesn't feel like it when you watch him play, but he's probably going to get us between 25 and 30 home runs. He's going to bat between 235 to 250. And he's going to go through the process. And at the end of the year, you're going to look up and Rhys Hoskins is going to be where you expected Rhys Hoskins to be. Is he going to go for, weeks at a time batting 50 Yeah, definitely. But it's just part of his game. Defense, I'd like to see the defense be a little better. I'm sure all of us would. It's not ideal to have a first baseman who has that many issues over there. I mean, it's not the craziest position to play, and he makes it look pretty hard. But I mean, with the bat, there's really no questions. It's just for Rhys, it's what kind of numbers is he going to put up in a contract year? We know about the contract years, and that's when players put together their best game, it feels like. And, this is his chance to improve his stock as much as he can. And it's going to probably be asked a lot in the next several months, but what's the future hold for Rhys Hoskins in Philadelphia? And it's going to be kind of one of the plots that we see unfold this upcoming season.
Yeah, he's definitely an interesting case going into this year. He's caught all the criticism, but also had one of the most iconic playoff runs in the past 10 seasons for us. So I personally, after seeing Hoskins heat up down in Clearwater, I mean, that shoulder looks healthy that he got surgery on, and he looks strong. I mean, his swing looks like he's really attacking the ball, not getting underneath it. And I think he's going to have a huge contract year and cash out big time.
I do too. I don't really know what that looks like. Is it 250 with 35 home runs? Probably something like that.
Probably more like that.
Yeah, even with that being said, it's worth asking the question, like what kind of money does a player like that get? Because we saw Kyle Schwarber only get 19 or 19/20, and I think Kyle Schwarber's probably a little better of a power hitter than Rhys Hoskins, and Kyle Schwarber can play the outfield. So does Rhys Hoskins, is his ceiling like a $16-17 million salary? If so, there's value in that, but yeah, I guess we just have to kind of wait and see how he performs, because as much as he can raise his stock this year, he can damage it too by just being terrible at first base and letting that average kind of fall down into the lower 200s.
Yeah, I certainly don't see him exceeding like that. No matter what he does, I don't see him exceeding that 15 million to 20 million a year range. It feels like it's pretty much locked in. He could probably get the higher end if he absolutely rakes this year, but that feels like the price tag.
I like that price. I really do. I'd be okay with that. It's just a matter of,
me too.
Does he think he's worth more than that? And then does he test the market? And he starts talking to different teams that can offer him, stuff outside of what Philadelphia can offer him. And he might want to change the scenery. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch.
I think it should be a fluid situation, just because of we got to see how Alec Bohm does and some of those guys, and how Hall does. And then we can make a decision, because I think Scott Boras wants to drag it out a little bit too.
Yeah, and it's worth also pointing out that he's awesome for the city and for the clubhouse.
Great guy.
He's a homegrown guy, and he's kind of the face of the homegrown guys. And nothing bad to say about Rhys Hoskins personally. He seems like just an awesome guy.
Yeah, no, for any slander I've given him, he dug us out of some of these really, really horrible times as Philly fans. And he'll always have a place in his heart, no matter where he goes. But to the over and unders, can Rhys get a 500 slugging percentage this year? 500.
I like the line. Can he? Yes. Will he? I'm going to go slightly under. I don't have a good reason for that. I just feel like it's going to be 480s, maybe low 490s.
Okay. And then I have on the defensive side.
Oh God.
Over. I love doing defensive metrics. It's my favorite thing to research. -5 outs above average. Over under that.
Dude, he's. I guess he would be. I'm taking the under, which means he's going to be worse than that. He's just getting older, and it's hard to get better at fielding as you get older. I feel it now, and I'm 24, and I'm just not as nimble as I used to be. And I can only imagine once you get to 30, this is going to be his age 30 season. So I'm not expecting any major improvements on the defensive side from Rhys, but I'm hoping for it.
All right. But both unders on Rhys this season. Who we got next?
Bryson Stott.
Stotty.
I haven't heard much of Stotty. Have you? have you heard a lot about what he's been doing?
Well, he started slow, and then when I was down there, he started heating up. He had a home run one game, and I think he's playing some good defense, but nothing to write home about in spring.
Yeah, I was hoping for more out of spring. He seems to have kind of, there's a lot of guys being talked about, and he's not one of them. And I was kind of hoping he would be. I know that he started really rough last year, got sent down, came back up, and he was much better. Not the most fun like hitting profile. He's gonna hit for a semi good average with average power, and he's gonna be like a consistent bat if he fully develops into what he's supposed to be. Last year, all the expected stats, I mean, I wouldn't worry about them too much because he obviously was awful for the first month. That whiff rate is pretty nice. His approach is legit, and that's always gonna give him a relatively high floor. He'll be able to work good at bats and set himself up for success in that regard. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting because I don't think the team is sending the most positive signals about Bryson Stott because we brought in Josh Harrison, who is exactly, if you were to replace Bryson Stott with an affordable player, like he's the guy. Like Josh Harrison's that type of player. The veteran who plays second base, who's righty. He seems like just a perfect backup plan. Edmundo is raking. And there's some things working against Bryson here if he doesn't kind of start to show a little more life with the bat. That being said, I think he's earned the benefit of the doubt by his performance last year. And people are gonna probably forget this, but he was pretty terrible in the playoffs. It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold on Bryson putting it all together this year. But he has the tools, and that's kind of what you need at this point in his career.
Yeah, I think the crowd, you're kind of with the crowd here. I think a lot of people are underwhelmed by Stott last season. I think he had a really, really nice streak towards like the end of the season. But yeah, I think everyone noticed after like the first round of like the wild card round, didn't really show up a whole lot. I'm not really worried. I don't think Josh Harrison is even close to a threat to Stott. I mean, simply,
What
I don't think.
what about Edmundo?
Well, then they start trying Mundo in center field, so it seems like they have less confidence in Marsh than Stott, but just with that action.
You're right.
And
I don't know.
so
It's
I
tough
don't
to
know.
read.
Based off the way that Topper started using Stott after Girardi got fired, it showed that like Thompson definitely did not agree with Girardi's thinking on Bryson Stott because Stott was the guy once Thompson took over.
Yeah, he'll get every opportunity to capture that job. It's just a matter of if he looks like the player who ended last season or the player who kind of like showed life in the second half. And we'll see. I mean, the spring, I was really kind of hoping that we'd see just signs of life right off the bat, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, you'd rather remember a guy from a good season than a good spring training as well.
That's true.
But yeah, my ultimate goal is just to get a Walmart version of Corey Seager and Bryson Stott this year.
I would be happy with that too.
Walmart. I didn't say like Gucci, but for the over unders, a 250 average for Bryson. What do you think?
I'll take the over on that. Not by a ton. Probably 250s,
right.
260s. Sounds about right.
All right. And then 25 doubles.
25 doubles. I like
that. 19 last year.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'll take the over on that, and I'll kind of hope that K Long was working on Bryson with the gap power last offseason. Yeah, give me the over on that.
Yeah, Stott's not going to be the most like you said earlier. His profile is not super exciting, but like if he comes into his own this year, it could be a very, very like steady essential piece to this lineup. He's got that good gap power, enough speed, and he's got good plate discipline typically.
Yeah, and a great vibes guy, Bryson Stott. Yeah. Anyway, Moving on, Trea Turner, another guy who, like JT, there's really not much we can say. The guy is probably the best shortstop in baseball. He is going to bring a different type of approach to the lineup. He's going to complement a lot of the big power guys with excellent contact skills. As we saw in the World Baseball Classic, he can change a game. He can just snap of a finger change a game like that with his speed, with his power, with his just so many different aspects to the guy. And I think there's more in the tank as to what he can be. He at the very worst, he's a 300 hitter with 60 extra base hits and adequate defense at shortstop, and that is just insane. But no, there's really not much I can say about Trea. If you don't know him yet, if you don't really know what he's like as a player, you will very soon, and I think you're going to be very happy with the signing.
Yeah, he put on a show in the World Baseball Classic. I mean, he was. I think he made us all very confident in our signing after watching that, and I mean the whole world got to see that too. So I mean, Trea Turner gained a lot of fans from that tournament, and I think it's a great way for him to come into Philly after something like that.
He's so good. So good.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to go right to the over-unders because we could just praise this guy. I don't want to do too much of that. Will Turner play 150 games this season?
I'm looking at the games played. I think he will.
Because he's our star. Him and JT are kind of our superstars right now.
I think he will. I'll take the over. I'm going to – I mean, that's really just a chance thing. There's really no way to predict it, but I think he'll stay healthy.
All right, and then to piggyback that, in those over 150 games he plays, will he have a 900 OPS?
That I'm not as confident in.
Well, in his Rookie of the Year season, he had a 915 OPS.
I'm gonna have to take the under on that.
It's within reach, man.
Hundreds. Yeah, are you writing these down? Could we revisit these, or is it just?
I checked them all off. I'm gonna hold you to it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the under on that. Not because I have any doubt that Trea Turner is going to be awesome, but I just think that he's probably more an 870 to 890 OPS guy.
Respectively.
Unless he can, get the power up. And I mean, after seeing the World Baseball Classic, I wouldn't doubt it.
That sold me. I think my home run projection's going way up.
Bohmer. Now this is the slide I was waiting for. Alec Bohm. Oh man, where do I even start? Alec Bohm is just he is 330 homers waiting to happen. And he's going to put up one of these years. Alec Bohm's going to put up Josh Donaldson MVP season type numbers. I'm that sure of it because the guy can hit. He's probably, I'm going to be alone on this bridge, but I think he's the second best hitter on this team. Like pure hitting ability behind Bryce Harper. I think Alec Bohm is the best hitter on this team. And
Trey?
I think Alec Bohm's better.
Wow.
Okay. I saw Alec Bohm hit 430 or whatever it was in July. And then I realized that this guy, if everything breaks right for him, I mean, I just think he can put up 300 seasons year after year. The defense is better. There's always going to be questions there, but I don't think we're going to notice it as much this year. And after the spring and how he's come into spring, putting on 10 pounds of muscle, 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and lifting the ball. I mean, there's nothing else that we wanted to see, you and I. He has shown us exactly what we were hoping for. And man, I was not happy when I saw you take him in fantasy baseball because I am so high on Alec Bohm this year, dude. I can't even describe it.
I could probably sucker you out of some real nice pitchers for him because I am thin at pitcher.
What's he have? 4 or 5 home runs already?
Yeah, he has been incredible in spring, and he really looks like he was not messing around this offseason. I know everyone's been talking about the weight he gained, but like his swing too. He's been in the cage. He's got a vicious hack at the ball now.
No one is talking about him, and it's driving me nuts because This baseball savant page, I mean, he wasn't even like, there were times throughout the last season where he didn't look right and he had some big slumps. And that's still quite a bit of red there. And that XBA, what is that, 98th percentile? I'm telling you,
Yeah.
he is going to hit 300 and hit 30 home runs soon. And it's just a
Well,
matter of if it's going to be this year. And I think it will be because I'm so high on the guy, and he's quickly going to just catch the attention of Phillies Nation, the fantasy baseball community, just all of MLB is going to realize what we have. And I think he's probably, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I think he's probably going to drive Rhys Hoskins out of Philadelphia. Because
wow.
if Alec Bohm puts up the power that we think he can, that's a first baseman. That's first baseman type numbers. And he's got the tools, and it's in there. I just know it's in there.
We're
Back me
uber
up.
high.
Back me up. Come on. I know you're high.
No, I am. And I was at spring training with a Alec Bohm lover, and we were salivating. The guy is him, I think. I know that's what the kids are saying these days when a guy is like that. But holy crap! I mean, his potential, like we all knew it because of his frame. But I think he finally knows what he's doing with himself. Like he looks confident as shit.
He is 6'6", 225 pounds, with incredible bat to ball skills. Doesn't get phased by the playoffs. I mean, we talked about Bryson Stott having issues in the playoffs. Alec Bohm was not having those issues. Alec Bohm was hitting doubles off of Framber Valdez in the World Series. And this is just the guy who I am so excited to watch this year. And I think that there's going to come a time here soon where we're going to talk about lineup construction. And Alec Bohm was in that cleanup spot last year, and I think that it makes sense until Bryce gets back. And I'm on that bandwagon too. But we won't get into that too much now.
No.
And we've already spent way too much time on Alec Bohm's slide. So
yeah, all right. Let me just get to my my stats on him. Will Bomer have 25 bombs this season?
Oh yes.
Let's go up.
All right, up. Yes.
Dude,
yes.
I do love the Bohm hype this year because Bohm rakes, man. All right, and will Bohm accumulate 80 RBIs this season? Oh,
up,
my God.
Give me 30 and 100 this year for Bomer.
It's the year of Bohm. It's the year of Bohm.
It is the year of Bohm. Real quick, I'm going to try not to get too nerdy here. You see ground ball rates going down, fly ball rates going up, pull percentage going up. There's 30 homers in there. I'm positive.
There we go.
Schwarbs is kind of another guy we don't really have much to say about. He is probably the best power hitter in the National League. He's not going to hit for a lot of average. He's not going to play awesome defense, but he's going to just be super fun to watch, fun to root for from start to finish. And Dombrowski was the one who said that he's the best clubhouse presence he's ever seen. And there's so much value in that it makes him easily one of the most valuable people on the team without the 50 home runs that he pretty much puts up every year. And you see this baseball savant page, a ton of red. He's crushing the ball. He just swings and misses a little too much to be considered, one of the elite hitters of the game. But that's fine. I mean, you can't have it all. And for the price we got him at, if he can do that for three more seasons, I mean, his return on investment is going to be just through the roof.
You're not going to hear me complain about Kyle Schwarber. I was thinking the same thing this spring training. So I saw like one of the Red Sox like beat reporters like post a video of like when like Kyle Schwarber's warming up against like the Red Sox, like all the players like sprinted over like schoolgirls to say hello. Like he seems to be the best guy in baseball. I mean, he's the number one guy anyone would want to have a beer with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he seems like the man, and you're right. We know what's going to happen. He's going to hit a lot of home runs. He's going to get a good amount of walks, and he's going to strike out also a lot. We know this.
Yeah, and he's going to go through stretches where he bats 100, but he's going to go through stretches where he carries the lineup, and it's It's kind of the Rhys situation with Rhys, except when he gets hot, he just goes nuclear. And it's coming. It's going to be here one of these days. We don't know when. I mean, it's probably going to be June if I had to guess, if I was a betting man. But he's that type of impact player.
All right, 40 bombs,
Over.
175 strikeouts.
Probably over too. yeah. Give me the over on both of those. I mean, he's the biggest boomer bust player.
Yeah, that's Schwarber right there.
Yeah, he's the definition. He pretty much wrote the book. Marshy, another guy I haven't heard a ton about in spring. I heard his interview on WIP, and he sounds like a really cool dude. Sounds like a guy that I would want to go golfing with. I don't know if anybody heard that. If you did, you'll know what I'm talking about. But no, Brandon Marsh came over. He batted about 280. He looked better. He was at one point one of the highest ranked prospects in baseball. So there's tools here. He's a very, very good center fielder, which is probably his most valuable attribute, especially next to two corner outfielders without much range. His development against lefties is going to be one of the major plots to follow. I don't think it's going quite as well as they were kind of hoping. And I only say that because Edmundo's getting some serious time in center, and Edmundo's mashing. So I think that the at-bats we thought Marsh was going to get against lefties this year is going to be significantly lower. And it's not completely his fault. It's just Edmundo just is raking, and you got to find a way to get his bat in there somehow. And if he can play center field, all to him. There's a perfect platoon for Brandon Marsh. He'll be better. He'll be more the player we saw on the Phillies last year than the player on the Angels. He'll be a little more comfortable, and I mean, he's going to be an interesting player to follow.
Yeah, I'm a huge Brandon Marsh fan. I think if he ends up getting hold of this on YouTube, he should come on the show. I think that would be fun.
I think he would. I think he would if he seems like the guy who would. He sounded all kinds of excited for that WIP, and I mean, we're not WIP, but he was all excited for the interview and to just talk with the guys.
We'll try to spread the word, and Brandon Marsh should be a great first MLB guest. But I think you summed it up. I mean, elite defender first. I mean, he plays such an important role with. I mean, you look at the numbers from Castellanos and Schwarber's defense last year. I mean, they cover very little ground. I mean, they have no range. And Brandon Marsh is a range monster. That's kind of like his thing. He can cover a lot of ground really quick. So I will go right to my over-under, which is over-under a 10 OAA, outs above average. He had 8 last year.
Yeah, just looking at his percentile, I think I'm probably going to have to take the over. We're going to need every inch of that OAA because Schwarber and Castellanos might as well just not even be moving with the amount of range they have. So I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, I think through a full season, and now he's got a little more accustomed to the ballpark after last year. I expect the same. And then you also hit on this, over under a 200 average against left-handed pitchers. He was 188 with the Phillies last year.
Yeah, that might be one of the most important stats of the year. That's like the $1 million question. So that's good on you for highlighting that number.
It really is the difference between Brandon Marsh being a 240, 250 hitter and him being a 270, 280 hitter.
I'm going to go over, but not by much.
Wow.
Barely over. But it's going to be progress, and it's going to be an over that we're kind of happy with just because it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And I won't go too deep into it, but I think they should give him full opportunities in center field and hold off on the Sosa a little bit.
Yeah, you better tell Edmundo to calm down with the bat. He's batting like 600.
I know. He makes it hard, but I want some of these guys to come into their own because they have it in them.
I was thinking about this question a couple weeks ago as I was preparing for my fantasy draft, and I wanted to ask you. So this is going to be you got to pick somebody. Who's going to end up with the higher career wins above replacement? Brandon Marsh or Logan O'Hoppe?
Wow, that's a wonderful question.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because, dude, the hype around Ohapi is serious. He seems to just be getting better and better every day. And he's a catcher and a pretty good one at that. So it's an interesting question, and you don't have to go too deep into it. Just kind of give me your gut feeling on it.
You say career
war.
tough to say, but over the next 5 years, I think it'll be Brandon Marsh. But then career, probably Ohapi because he's a catcher.
Yeah, I tend to believe it's going to be Ohapi. Not a knock against Brandon Marsh, but I think Ohapi might be a little better than anybody thought he could be. He's good.
He really does have some talent.
Right field, Bryce Harper. Another guy. What else can you say? He's the best player on the team. He's one of the best players of the generation. He is incredible. What he can do on a field is just he never fails to amaze you with what he can do. His even coming back from injury, I mean, this baseball savant page, he looks like the best hitter in baseball if you were just looking at this. And there's times throughout the season where there's a strong argument Bryce Harper is the best hitter in baseball. He's that good. And I think the biggest thing we could actually talk about here is the fact that Dombrowski did not place him on the 60-day IL to start the season. And the 60-day IL, for those who don't know, once you go on the 60-day IL, you can't come back earlier than those 60 days. And 60 days from opening day is going to put him right at the end of March. I think it's going to be like March 30th. And the only reason for not doing that, there's a lot of upside to doing it because you get another 40-man roster spot. So his spot on the 40-man can go to someone else if you put him on the 60 day IL.
You said March.
Yeah, March to May 30th is the 60 days that 60 days that he would have been on the IL. And they chose not to do that, which means only one thing, and that is that the people within the organization making decisions think that there is a chance that Bryce Harper can return before May 30th. And I think it was probably around Thanksgiving that he had Tommy John surgery. Let me just do the math real quick. That would put him about 6 or 7 months out from Tommy John. He's going to be a DH for probably a bulk of the season. But man, that feels aggressive. Just if right off the bat, it feels pretty aggressive. What's the plan here?
Well, you can't predict Bryce Harper because that guy is kind of a superhuman athlete, and those people are not those people. Bryce Harper is much different than me and you physically. He can recover from I twist my ankle and I'm down bad for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I tried to get into running, and the first day I got really bad shin splints, and I haven't been running since. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, taking. All right, but that would be absurd. If he came back before May 30th, that is quick even for just a DH, especially when he's a guy we need to keep healthy this whole season, the rest of the season. So I think that's a rush, but my over-under will be May 30th return for Bryce Harper.
So it's kind of like a before after, but I'm going after. I don't think there's no way they can do that, right? No way.
It feels like it's crazy.
Are you worried that they're going to rush him back? And between him and people within the organization, they're just going to get so excited for him to be back on the field that they're just going to rush it. Because that's not good if they do.
Now, I from what it sounds like, Bryce has like such good people around him and really good doctors. And I mean, these guys aren't like, they're great at the best at their job. I mean, Bryce Harper can pay for the best. And I think if he gets out there, he's going to be cleared by a doctor. And I mean, multiple people around the organization and outside the organization. And I don't think it would be rushed. I think it would just because he heals really quick.
Yeah.
And I don't know how it's possible, so I'm going to say after also. But Bryce seems like he could surprise us.
Yeah, that's the number one plot throughout the season is the return of Bryce Harper. But no, I mean, there's really nothing else we can say about him. What do you got for the over-unders? Besides the one you just said?
I didn't do any because it's not a full season.
Okay. moving on. Last but not least, last and probably least, actually,
Oh,
Nick Castellanos. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was preparing this, and I was feeling hopeful until I actually started preparing it. So I don't even know where to start because this Baseball Savant page, and if you're watching the podcast, you're probably getting sick of me saying Baseball Savant. This is bad. All of this is really bad. It's just all bad. All of
wait,
that's
isn't blue good? Nah, I'm just kidding.
it's all bad. And
It's
then
all bad.
yeah, it gets worse. Line
right,
drive
well,
rate down. I mean, ground ball rate
It was
down.
an outlier year, Josh. Come on, don't be so
Soft
hard on the guy.
contact down, or soft
Blah,
contact up, hard
blah,
contact
blah,
down.
blah, blah,
I
blah,
can't
blah.
even see what I did on the bottom. Yeah, he was
Nah.
he was absolutely terrible last year.
All right.
Point taken for on my behalf. I understand that he was bad, but this year will be better.
It has to be, right?
I don't have a ton of evidence to support that, but it can't be worse. So that's my stance.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay very optimistic on Nick Castellanos, but spring training's been a little weird. But I don't gauge players on spring training. I try to see what they're looking like hitting. I think it's going to be better, but I really wouldn't get my hopes too high. I have a pretty middle of the road expectation for him next year.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly a hitting coach, but if he wasn't in the cage all winter, working on pitch recognition, so he could start picking up that outside slider, then K Long was not doing his job. Because if I had like $1 for every time I saw this guy swing at a low and outside slider last year, I could probably retire because he just made a living on swinging and missing on the outside slider. And if he can just start picking up when they're throwing him the outside slider, obviously it's easier said than done when they're throwing like 99, 100 miles an hour at you. If he can just figure out when they're throwing that and stop swinging at it, we'd be in business.
Yeah, you'd think it feels like it's pretty simple and it's right out in front of there, but yet we all know it. The strikeout rate is outrageous. I mean, he's not that powerful where like you can now have a 5% walk percentage, and that's not right. I mean, he's not that type of player.
Walk rate was down, by the way. Walk rate was down. Strikeout was up.
That can't happen. I mean,
yeah, if you didn't see that.
Oh yeah, mix those two up. But yeah,
so that's great.
Those numbers need to improve. Those two right there, and I think that slider is. I mean, we all saw it. It was most of his strikeouts, just taking 3 hacks at awful sliders. So I hope he gets. I hope he can start like picking up the slider better. They had to be working on it.
Yeah, that's our official stance is stop swinging at the low and outside slider.
Yes, and over 800 OPS.
No,
that was generous.
Give me the under. Oh my goodness, that's a nice line of you after what were we last year? 695.
I'm trying to consider an outlier year and make these numbers based off his career.
Goodness, that was generous.
If you look at his career, it's not that generous. If you look at last year, it very generous.
Yeah. What's your other one?
Over under 20 home runs.
Oh God. Probably under. Probably under. Let's be real here.
Josh, guys, does not sound ready for 4 more years of Nick Castellanos.
You see, I was actually I should have let you make this slide deck because I was feeling really good about it. And then I got to this whatever we're looking at here, and there's just no positives to take away from this. And then I can't even come in here and say, oh, well, he looks better this spring because he kind of doesn't. He kind of looks the same. And he already kind of looks like he's getting frustrated. And it's spring training, it's March and he's already swinging and missing at the outside slider. And it's not what you want to see at all.
Yeah. I have a feeling people are going to have a very, very short leash for Castellanos this year. And I just really hope he heats up at the first week of the year, because I think people are going to get ruthless towards the guy. And I don't think he's built for I think he is built for Philly, but I think the fans will get under his skin.
Yeah, he's between him swinging and missing at the outside sliders and everybody telling him to stop swinging at it, and him continuing to swing at it. It's probably going to drive him nuts, as it drives us nuts as we sit here and do this podcast.
Yeah, it feels like we shouldn't even be talking about it, but it's just
yeah. Hey, I'm rooting for the guy. I hope it works out, but he's got to give us something, right? Like, can we show some signs of life here with the bat? Because
he's saving it for the real games, Josh. Come
okay,
on,
all right.
Let's roll with that until we're proven wrong.
Yeah, all right. Official stance. We'll do that. But anything else? Anything else on the 10 guys we named? We're already at 45 minutes. Probably because we talked about Alec Bohm for like 20 minutes. But
it's a Bohm year, dude.
It's a Bohm year. Bohm's gonna give us the numbers we thought Castellanos would.
Yeah, I think they're flip-flopping a little bit from last season or 2 years ago, but besides the point.
From there. Anything else?
We'll probably now let's end this thing so that people can do something else.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure people are getting sick of hearing us rant about Castellanos' approach. So we have one more week. Oh man, we got to knock out that pitching preview early next week. But pitching preview.
It's going to be dicey, folks. The pitching's looking pretty weird to start the year.
The pitching preview, which is going to be like the Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Bailey Falter preview.
Weird.
But we have that coming to you guys next week, and then it's baseball season. And man, can't come soon enough.
Let's go. Been ready for this.
Well, that should do it. As always, thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you soon.